You tell yourself you're overthinking. That's the word you use. Overthinking. But notice when it happens, it's never about small things. It's always about the decisions that would change something real. And somehow, you think the same thoughts again and again, yet nothing actually moves. So the question isn't, why can't you stop thinking? It's, why hasn't thinking led to action? You replay conversations that haven't happened yet. You imagine outcomes. You analyze every angle. You ask yourself what the right choice is, as if clarity should arrive before movement. And while all of this is happening, life stays exactly the same. You don't send the message. You don't change the job. You don't say what you mean. You remain in the analysis. From the outside, it looks like caution. From the inside, it feels like paralysis. Psychology calls this a form of cognitive avoidance. Not laziness, not confusion, avoidance. Your brain is engaging in mental activity to avoid emotional exposure. Because thinking feels productive, but it's safer than doing. Over time, this becomes part of identity. I'm just someone who overthinks. But identities are often stories we build to explain patterns we haven't examined yet. And this story hides something uncomfortable. Because if you were truly confused, new thinking would create new clarity. Instead, you circle the same conclusion, which means some part of you already knows. You're just not letting it become real. This is where most people start blaming themselves. They think something is wrong with their personality. But your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's protecting you. The pattern you call overthinking is actually an adaptation, a psychological strategy designed to delay pain. Your mind learned that uncertainty is safer than consequence. So it stretches the decision-making process indefinitely, not because it wants answers, because it wants to avoid the moment when the answer demands change. You are not broken. You are caught in a loop your brain believes is helping you survive. But survival strategies don't always create a life. To understand this, you have to look at how the brain processes threat. Not physical threat, emotional threat. The brain uses the same neural alarm system for social rejection, identity change, and physical danger. This involves the amygdala, the region responsible for detecting risk. When a decision might lead to embarrassment, loss, conflict, or failure, the amygdala reacts as if something dangerous is about to happen. So the brain deploys a regulator, the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part. But instead of solving the problem, it starts simulating scenarios. Again, and again, and again. Not to decide, to delay. Think of it like a car stuck in neutral. The engine is running. There's noise. There's movement inside the system. But the wheels never turn. This is known in behavioral psychology as experiential avoidance, choosing mental processing over lived experience. The brain would rather analyze pain than risk feeling it. Because analysis gives an illusion of control, but it also prevents resolution. And unresolved loops consume enormous mental energy. That's why overthinking feels exhausting. You're holding tension without release, like clenching a muscle all day. This doesn't change by thinking better. It changes by interrupting the avoidance loop. Not with motivation, with psychological redirection. Here are 4 principles that work with the brain, not against it. Step 1. Name the decision you're avoiding. What to do? Instead of analyzing everything, write one clear sentence. What am I actually deciding right now? Why it works. Labeling activates the brain's salience network. It forces the mind to shift from abstract rumination to concrete evaluation. Avoidance thrives in vagueness. Clarity disrupts it. Real-life example. Instead of, I'm thinking about my career, you write, I am deciding whether to leave this job. Now the brain has something real to face. Step 2. Replace what if with what then. What to do. When your brain says, what if this goes wrong? Respond with, then what would I do? Why it works. Catastrophic thinking activates fear circuits. Planning activates problem-solving networks. You shift from threat mode to agency mode. Real-life example. What if I regret speaking honestly? Then I'll adjust. People adapt faster than they predict. You train the brain to expect recovery, not collapse. Step 3. Take one action before you feel ready. What to do? Act while uncertainty is still present, not after it disappears. Why it works. Behavioral psychology shows that action rewires belief faster than thought. The brain updates its predictions based on experience, not analysis. Real-life example. Send the email while still unsure. Afterward, the nervous system learns, I survived. Confidence is memory, not mindset. Step 4. Limit thinking time. What to do? Give yourself a container. 10 minutes of deliberate thinking. Then stop. Why it works? The brain respects constraints. Without them, the default mode network keeps looping indefinitely. Boundaries force transition from reflection to behavior. Real-life example. You set a timer before making a decision. When it ends, you choose, imperfectly. You teach the brain that thinking has an endpoint. Step 5. Expect discomfort. Don't interpret it as wrong. What to do? When anxiety appears after action, treat it as a signal of change, not danger. Why it works? Neuroscience calls this prediction error, the brain adjusting to a new reality. Growth feels like threat before it feels like relief. Real-life example. You feel uneasy after setting a boundary. Instead of undoing it, you let the nervous system recalibrate. Discomfort fades. Avoidance would have reinforced it. All of this comes down to one simple mental model. Overthinking is not a thinking problem. It's an exposure problem. Your brain isn't searching for better answers. It's waiting for certainty before allowing change. But certainty is something the brain only grants after experience, not before it. So the loop breaks the moment you act while still unsure. Not dramatically, quietly. One decision, one movement, one exposure to reality. You don't solve overthinking by resolving every doubt. You solve it by teaching your brain that life continues even when doubts remain. There may still be things you're avoiding right now, not because you're weak, because your mind learned to protect you. But protection can become a cage when it never turns off. You don't need to silence your thoughts. You don't need to become fearless. You only need to stop negotiating with the same question and answer it once, with action, even a small one. Because clarity is not something you think your way into. It's something that meets you after you move. And sometimes, the hardest truth isn't painful. It's simply the one you already know.